My name is Justin.
And my name is Martin.
We're the two bearded preachers.
And this is Partially Informed.
It is October 9th, 2015. Welcome back. We're so glad for all of our listeners to be joining us again. All two of you. We're happy to we're happy to be entertaining you once again this week. Martin, how you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good. I was surprised yesterday. My wife told me that she actually listened to the podcast, and I was shocked. Absolutely shocked, because she doesn't listen to this sort of thing. And she mentioned... I forget what she mentioned. She mentioned something about you wearing a tutu or dressing up like Tinkerbell. And I was like, man, she actually listened to this thing. I'm amazed.
Is that all she got from the whole podcast, is me wearing a tutu? Because, first of all, let me just clarify. I did not wear a tutu. I clearly said I didn't wear a tutu. I didn't say I did.
Right, but I don't know if she got anything else out of it. I just know that the tutu was formative in her mind. The
picture of me in a tutu
maybe
is
a mental image.
It's a mental image that is lasting, and it's going to haunt me for a very long time, right?
I don't know.
Something that did not happen will haunt me. I get it. It's okay. No problem.
It'll be all right, Justin.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm sorry. I'm a little bit salty about that, because here's the deal. Here's what happened. Yesterday, I had a group come to the church. They're staying here for the weekend. It's a group from Miami doing volunteer stuff here in Kissimmee. And they came. They were looking for a place to stay, and they messaged me like 2 months ago. I said, "Yeah, sure, no problem. Come on, I don't care." So they're here, and it's their college students from the University of Miami, and they say, they come in, and I'm sitting there talking with them about everything, going over stuff, and I have like a spare key, and I go, "All right, who gets the key?" And this kid raises his hand. He's like, "I do." He's like, "I do." And I go, "Okay, here, man, you are the key master, and I'm the gatekeeper." And I just say it like that. And, like, when I say that, Martin, what do you think?
Ghostbusters, man.
Thank you. Yes, it's Ghostbusters. So I'm in a room of about 7 college students, and I go, "You're the key master, and I'm the gatekeeper." And I hand it to him, and he looks at me, and I go, and he does it. He looks like this. He has this dumbfounded look on his face, and he goes, "Huh?" And I go, "Ghostbusters, man." And he goes, "I don't get the reference." I said, Are you kidding me? And I look around at everybody else, and this one girl goes, "I saw Ghostbusters one time, but not enough to reference anything." And I just kind of I was so taken back, because I was like, my pop culture reference didn't get noticed by a bunch of college kids, and now I feel really old. And I was, I just wanted to test it out on you, because you're right around you're a year younger than I am. And I was taken back. I said, "You got to be kidding me!" And it was like the most awkward pause, because all of them are sitting there going, "No, I didn't know that. I didn't know that's from that movie." "Oh, my mom and dad loved that movie." It was that kind of stuff. I was like, "Oh, shut up."
I'll tell you what, Justin, these people today are raising up a generation of cultural illiterates, man. They don't know nothing about anything that's important.
Bill Murray, man. Bill Murray. Sigourney Weaver. I mean, give me a break. It's gatekeeper.
When those kids...
Keymaster.
When they watch Zombieland, they don't even understand why it's such a big deal to go see Bill Murray. They don't even know.
Exactly. I was taken back, and then after that, I was like, I left, I went into the restroom, and I looked in the mirror, and I'm like, "You're so old. You're so old." There it is. When you make a funny comment, and nobody laughs because they don't get the reference, and it's It's like your days. It's like, this was Ghostbusters was my days. And I'm like, yeah, it's like, I'm even theming it with October, you know? I'm even doing that. And nothing. The kid looks me in the eyes and goes, I don't get the reference. Like, that straight face too. Very, I don't get the reference. And I was like, all right, whatever, man. They're like, are you going to stick around? I'm like, no, I'm leaving now. You guys.
I don't even want to talk to you.
I don't even want to talk to you guys. You know what? I was almost so salty that I was going to be like, you know, hey, you guys can't even stay here anymore. But no, I didn't. I'm leaving. I gotta go do grown up adult things like fix my toilet. I gotta go do that. So,
Justin, if it makes you feel any better, just about any time I reference something pop culture wise in a sermon, nobody gets it. It falls completely flat. I mean, nobody gets it. I look over at Leia after I do these things, and she's just kind of chuckling, and she's not laughing at the reference. She's laughing at the fact that nobody gets it. She's laughing at me, and that always makes me laugh too. So
yeah. I understand that. Here's the question: when you do a joke like that, when you do like a pop reference and you don't get any laughs, do you like pause and wait, hoping somebody's going to get something? Do you do that?
I usually have to pause because I'm giggling internally. I'm like,
you're laughing at your own joke?
Yes.
That was a funny one, guys.
Well, you know, my sense of humor works like this. I tell jokes that make me laugh. Any joke that I tell is for my own benefit. I'm not trying to make anybody else laugh. If you laugh along with me, that's fine. But I'm really just entertaining myself here. So anytime, and I don't use jokes in sermons very much because they do fall flat, and I do start getting the giggles, and I just have to stop and laugh for a little bit to get it all out before I can go on, expositing the text.
You're like, no jokes in the sermon today. I gotta maintain my composure because I'll laugh too much. All right, yeah.
Since none of you guys got that "Dude, Where's My Car" reference last week, you don't get any jokes this week. None. You don't get a single one. Now let's read Leviticus.
You should, if you haven't done that, you need to do that soon. You need to just say, since you guys didn't get my reference to whatever, and just name something. Since you guys didn't get my Footloose joke last week with Kevin Bacon, then forget it. You guys get no jokes this week at all. We're all connected to Kevin Bacon. There's at least 7 degrees. You guys still don't get it? Come on.
They probably would be happy that I wasn't throwing out horrible flub jokes. So they'd probably be like, thank goodness he's finally doing what we pay him for. So
awesome. Okay, what do we have? What are we going to talk about today, dude?
Justin, this is a special episode for us. This is our political episode.
Oh, you mean stuff we know absolutely nothing about. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, so for everybody who's big on fact-checking and that sort of stuff, you might want to get a pad and pencil out because there's going to be a lot of misinformation thrown out there today.
If you are a fact checker and you are listening, I'll just say it this way. Don't bother checking the facts. We'll tell you right now, they're all going to be wrong. Everything we say is going to be wrong. So,
and that even applies to the stuff before. My jokes never fail at church. They always get roaring laughter.
No, they don't.
No, they don't.
No, they don't. You say that because your church is not listening to the podcast. So
no, some of them are, and
they are,
and that frightens me a little bit. But that's cool. It's cool.
All right. So I know this sounds weird because I am not like somebody that likes to talk politics whatsoever. But I kind of even suggested we talk about this was it last week? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was last week. I suggested we talk about it last week because I have a theory that I wanted to just share. A theory when it comes to our presidential elections.
A theory, you say?
Yes, a theory. I think it's a sound theory, and here's the thing. I shared my theory with my wife the other night, and she's like, "That's stupid," and I said, "This is perfect for the podcast." She's like, "I don't think that's right, Justin." Yeah, it is. So it's perfect. So here's my theory on presidential elections, and I got like some past elections pulled up in front of me for references. Okay, Martin?
Ready.
I have a theory that America doesn't choose a candidate that they believe is best for the country.
Oh, no?
No, I don't believe that at all. See, I watch a lot of late night television. I don't know if you do, but I watch a lot of late night television, like, the talk shows and everything. I enjoy them. It's just entertains, relaxing. I usually watch them in the morning. So you're not. I watch a lot of late night talk shows, but I watch them in the morning the next day on Hulu.
Do you know how I know you're old?
When I do, when you watch late night talk shows in the morning, yeah, I know, I get you. So yeah, that's how I watch my. Well, it's because it's on Hulu. I don't have a choice. But anyways, so I watch a lot of that, and I realized that, and I started making like this correlation. I think it started like last year that I started to realize that America doesn't vote on. They don't vote for the candidate that is best suited to serve our country. I believe. And this is a theory, and anybody can disagree with me. It's perfectly all right. They can argue with me. I don't mind. You're not going to change my opinion on this because I'm a lot bit stubborn. I'm very stubborn, so you're not going to change my opinion. But here's my theory. I believe that America votes on the presidential candidates based on who is going to entertain them most over the next 4 years. That's my theory. What do you think, Martin?
Now, do you mean that they themselves are going to be doing the entertaining, or do they?
I will say it this way: both. Both. I think they will be entertaining them as well as other people entertaining them based off the president's actions or words or whatever.
So, you would say like George Bush got reelected because they made fun of him really well on SNL.
Yes, exactly. All right. George W. Bush got reelected. He got reelected because Will Ferrell did such a great impersonation of him on Saturday Night Live. That's what I think. Is that what do you think of that? Am I hitting the nail on the head?
Well, I'll agree that Will Ferrell as George W. Bush was really funny. I'd like to be optimistic and say that you're absolutely wrong, that there's no way that that's possible, but
you can't, can you? You're like, I'd like to disagree with you, Justin, but I just can't right now for some reason.
Right. Let's think about Barack Obama and John McCain. John
McCain, not an entertaining guy.
Right.
He's not an entertaining guy.
And nothing he does is even made fun of very well. I mean, here's this thing. He's an incredible war hero. Go ahead and make fun of that a little bit.
You can't.
Yeah,
you
right.
can't.
You can't make fun of that. He's pretty much middle of the road on every issue, so he doesn't even make you terribly mad on most of the issues. He's about as vanilla as you can get. Now, on the opposite side is Barack Obama, who's very polarizing either way.
Absolutely.
And he's made fun of pretty well, too. So
Yeah. I mean, the very next the last election that was just in 2012. The only funny thing about the other candidate was his name, Mitt. That's it, Mitt. And there's only so much you can do with that. You know, he wasn't. And I guess this is the thing. He wasn't a character. He wasn't a character. You know, you go back and like George W. Bush, he was a character. Okay?
Yes,
he was an absolute character. Who did he run against? Okay, he ran against
Al Gore,
John Kerry and Al Gore. I thought. Now here's the thing. I thought Al Gore is funny, but I thought he was funny after the president. Had he done some of that stuff beforehand, he would have probably done better in the election.
So you're saying if Al Gore ran today, that he'd have a pretty good chance because he's got.
He would have a better. I don't know if he would have a better chance than he did. I'll say it that way.
He's got a lot of unintentional comedy.
Yes, and I think that's
funny.
Yes, well, that's the
Just around
point.
him.
That's it's the fun. And so keep going. Let's keep going back.
Woodrow
Clinton.
Wilson.
William Clinton. Bill Clinton and Robert Dole, Mr. Bob Dole himself. Okay, I mean the only thing about Bob Dole that's funny is his name. What are you gonna do? You're gonna make fun of that? You can't. It's just there's so much things that he's not. Unfortunately, he's not a character. Whether he would have been better for the United States or not, I don't know. But he didn't get it because he wasn't a character. I'm looking back on
Now,
more of these.
wait. I might want to push back on you with this Bob Dole thing. And this might just be because I'm a huge Norm Macdonald fan. But Norm Macdonald doing Bob Dole is really funny.
Yes.
So,
I will agree with you on that.
But I think your theory is pretty sound on. It's pretty sound regarding Mitt Romney because everybody. Maybe this is just me, but I feel bad making fun of Mormons because they're so nice. They're so nice. I just feel bad. I mean, I still do it, but I feel bad. I just feel wrong.
You just said I still do it, but I feel bad.
Right. It's one of those things that I'm like, well, I am a horrible person. I feel bad because they're so nice. And I bet that's how people felt making fun of Mitt Romney. They were like, all right, we're going to make fun of him here because it's expected of us, but he's such a nice guy. He's such a sweetheart. I feel like a dirtbag for doing it.
Yeah. All right, here, I got another one for you, okay? Okay, can you tell me, all right, the 1972 election, I'm looking at it, it has like the map of everything, as well, and so here is, I'll tell you who the winner was. Mm-hmm. You tell me who the loser was, all right? But the winner of the 1972 election, presidential election, was Richard M. Nixon.
Okay.
A character, like, can do a lot. Can do a lot with Nixon, right? Can do a lot with Nixon. Come on. Who did he run against?
I don't know. Mondale?
No. Who did he run against? That's the thing.
No, I have no idea.
Because these guys aren't really memorable. They're not memorable, and they're not just because. And I think that's the thing. Whether they won the election or not, I don't know if they would have necessarily been that memorable.
Okay. All right.
So he lost to. All right. Richard Nixon beat George McGovern, 520 electoral votes to 17.
Now,
that's ridiculous.
I just
everybody's like, dude, this is we need to laugh more. In 72, they're like, we need to laugh.
I just want to point out that I was not even alive in 72. So,
me neither. No.
So I don't know. And I think that we might have a little bit of historical revisionism going on here because we've seen lots of people making fun of Nixon and it being hilarious, but we haven't seen anybody making fun of whoever it is you just said who lost. McGovern.
Who's that guy again? I don't know.
Right. That's how good my memory is. I can't even. You said it a second ago. It took me a minute to pull it up. But so let's just try and apply your theory to the election next year, right?
I don't know. It's going to be. I don't know who is going to win because I feel like every single one of them, in some way, shape, and form, is a character. That's the hard part about next year's election. I'm trying to predict, and if you were to predict via my theory, who do you think would win next year's election? If it was going just by my theory, who do you think would win next year's?
I think
by my theory.
If it's going by your theory of the person who is either funnier or easier to make fun of on late night television, then yes, I think
most entertaining.
The Democrats will definitely nominate Bernie Sanders because that guy is hilarious.
Yes.
I don't like anything that he has to say, but I think he is very easy to make fun of, and he might end up getting the Democratic nomination anyway. Now, when you go to the Republicans, of course, Trump is the most hilarious of all of those guys.
Donald Trump.
Right.
Yes.
Now, if you like somebody like Ted Cruz or Don Carson, or did I say Don Carson? That's Ben Carson.
Ben Carson, yeah. Ben.
Yes, Don Carson being the Canadian theologian and preacher. I know a lot more about Don Carson than I do about Ben Carson.
Ben Carson.
Right. So I'll try and keep those straight for the rest of the day. But Ben Carson is not funny. Ted Cruz is not funny. They're not funny at all.
No.
You can make fun of Ted Cruz a little better than Ben Carson because Ben Carson's, I think he's got the same problem that McCain had. He's just such a consummate professional that he's hard to make fun of. Just a serious guy doing serious business, doing good work and all that sort of stuff. I don't see how you can hate on the guy too much. Now, we can all hate on Donald Trump, though, because he says some crazy stuff, and he's definitely hilarious. And that hair, though.
Oh, I know.
That hair.
I know.
I guess if you're a billionaire, you can have your hair however you want, and ain't no one going to say nothing to your face. So.
That's true. That's true. 'Cause you could be fired. You know, you don't even have to work for him. He can still fire you.
That's pretty bad when you don't even work for the guy and he's still firing you. Just
You're
out of
fired.
nowhere.
You're fired. Wait, I don't work for you. Doesn't matter. You know,
Still fired.
still fired. Then next thing you know, you get a pink slip in the mail. You're like, oh my gosh, this guy's not even my boss. He still fired me.
You want to know
It's embarrassing.
You want to know what's really funny about that whole idea? Is that it's
What?
not too far from true because
I know.
let's just take he hears this podcast and he decides, Justin, that is unacceptable, these things that you're saying about me, you're fired.
Yeah.
He could make that happen.
You could make that happen.
And it wouldn't be all that hard.
Yeah. No, it wouldn't be that hard.
Small
I don't
donation
think
to
it
the
would.
congregation, they'll be like, hey, Donald Trump just gave us $50, man, to fire you, so...
$50? Wait a second. You think my congregation would fire me for $50? I think a little bit more. Like
It might
maybe,
take more than that.
Maybe like 1,000. Maybe 1,000.
Hey, man, that's not a bad fee.
It's not bad.
Not bad.
Firing fee, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, he could definitely. But here's the thing. I don't know if Trump would come after me. I think he would go after more prominent guys if he was going to go fire people. So, but then again, I'm not like America's sweetheart or anything. I'm not like one of these. I'm not one of these talk show hosts late at night or anything, or Saturday Night Live. One of the America's beloved comedians. Yeah, I'm not one of them. So I probably would get the shaft pretty easily.
That's a funny idea. If Donald Trump wanted to fire a late-night TV host, which ones do you think he could effectively get fired? I think he could get Chris Hardwick fired. At midnight? That's my favorite talk show.
Yeah, I think he could definitely get him fired. I don't think he could get Fallon fired.
No, not Fallon.
I don't think he could get Kimmel fired.
What about Conan?
No, I don't think he could get Conan fired.
No?
I think he can get what's the other Myers. I think he can get Myers fired. I think he can get him fired.
Well, the only one of those shows that I watch is At Midnight, and tragically, Donald would definitely be able to fire Chris Hardwick. So
He's a very funny comedian. That guy's a very funny comedian.
Oh, he's such a filthy liberal, though. It breaks my heart.
Of course. But who? Let's see. I need to start watching The Daily Show a little bit more too. So I haven't watched that. I haven't watched the new Daily Show yet. I got to check it out. With what's his name? Trevor Noah. Is that his name?
I haven't watched it yet. I don't know. I didn't like Jon Stewart, so
what? I thought he was funny. Yeah, you didn't like him because
I like Stephen Colbert.
Yes, Colbert. Everybody loves Colbert. I mean, that guy is amazing.
Right.
He would be, if he was still doing his show then, I don't know I haven't watched his new show yet, but if he was still doing his show on Comedy Central, he would be on the Trump bandwagon the entire time. That's how he would be. He'd be like, yes, Trump.
That's the thing, though. It's all satire.
That's what makes it so funny.
Right. He's not this raging conservative riding an eagle stabbing the American flag into the earth. He's not that guy.
But he plays the part so well.
Right. And that's why I did like the Colbert Report, but yeah, I haven't checked out his new stuff. I'm not buying that he's terribly, terribly devout. There's some articles came out recently where he's talking about his faith. I think on the Gospel Coalition, which is usually pretty solid, but the article that I saw was questionable
Really?
at best. So
I'll have to check that out.
yeah, this is the part where we actually plan what we're going to talk about while we're talking about it. Drags it all down.
I think, and I just want everybody to just take note on this day, October 9th, 2015, that my theory is now made publicly known that America does not vote for the candidate that is best for the country, or not necessarily best for the country. Could be, might not be, but what overrides it, like they could be the best for the country, but what overrides that over anything else is that they are more entertaining, whether they are entertaining themselves or other people can be entertained, or other people can entertain you with talking about them and impersonations and the sort. That is my theory. And if my theory holds any water, what's going to happen next year? Prediction: my theory might get blown out of the water. It might totally, and that's fine. Let me just say it this way: if my theory gets blown out of the water next year, praise God, praise God, because if it doesn't, then it looks like either Bernie Sanders or Trump are going to be our next president.
One guy that I overlooked is Rand Paul.
Oh, yeah. Yes. I mean, if you look at all of them now, you're just kind of like, everybody's kind of a character in a sense. Like, they're starting to catch on. They're like, dude, this guy's out of his mind. This guy is crazy. Look at his hair. Listen to what he's saying. He should run for president. He's got a pretty good shot. And then we'll just marionette him. Do.
Well, I think that, and I'm a little bit skewed. My brother told me a long time ago that it doesn't matter who the president is because there's other forces at play that direct their policy. Because there's too much money pushing them into that role that they gotta pay off all the guys who paid for them to get into office. So
grease their palms,
exactly.
Right? Grease the palm.
What did Barack Obama say? He said that when he gets elected, that within 18 months we're going to be out of Iraq. How long does it take him? It takes him years. He follows the same timeline that George Bush had set up to get out of Iraq. But he wasn't able to do it. Oh, by the way, there's a lovely SNL thing talking about Barack Obama where he explains that all of the promises that he made in order to get elected, none of them were done. So he doesn't know why Republicans hate him so much. So I'm gonna find that and we'll link it on the Facebook page. But
yeah,
it's absolutely hilarious.
We need to find some of our favorite presidential sketches and link them to the Facebook page. I'm gonna write that down.
So my dad had a theory that wasn't too dissimilar from yours. His theory was the way the president gets picked, and this is after the primaries are all done. This is the main election, right? This is the big show. He said that whoever had the best hair wins the presidency.
Really?
Best hair wins the presidency. Now, let's do a combination of your theory and his. Let's say we use your theory to get through the primaries. That means we got Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump running for president. Who then, using my father's theory, becomes president? Who has better hair, Sanders or Trump?
Here's the deal. I don't know if it's better. I don't know if it's better, but it stands out the most. It's the most obvious, and it's obviously Trump's hair. He would then see what I'm saying? It's weird. My dad had a theory too. My dad had a theory too about presidential elections, and it had absolutely nothing to do with the elections, but it's just a theory on how he should vote is that he's going to have to go drink a 6-pack of beer because he's got to figure out who to vote for on that day. The day he's going to drink a 6-pack of beer before he goes and votes because he's going to vote for the lesser of two evils anyway. So that's just what he kind of felt.
So in order for your dad to vote, he had to go and get drunk so that he could stomach the decision he was about to make. So hard. I just like to point out that neither Justin nor I promote getting drunk prior to voting.
please do that. We believe in sober decision making and that of sound mind. When you vote, don't drink and vote, folks. Do not drink and vote. It's just. How do you think we got? Seriously, how do you think we got in the mess we're in? How do you think? Don't drink and vote.
Which presidency are you applying that to? I mean, because I think that could go back pretty far. I think people have been drinking and voting a lot lately.
Yeah, I think it's been going on for quite a long time now. Drinking and voting. Don't drink and vote.
All right, now Justin.
Yeah,
we're going to transition into more serious conversation here. On our very first podcast that we did so long ago, you said that you think it's more consistent with Christian thought to be a registered independent than to be registered with any of the other political parties. Could you explain that to us?
You remember that from the very first podcast? That was like 2 weeks ago.
I know. That's good memory.
Wow. That is very good memory. Did you write it down as a reminder and don't forget to ask Justin this?
Yeah, I put an alert in my phone to be like, hey, make sure this comes up, because otherwise I never would have remembered.
Yeah, I think that, I know why you ask the question and everything. Because I actually remember when I said it, you were like, really? And I can look at you, and you tilted your head to the side, and you were like, you're like, ooh, that rubs me the wrong way, Justin.
It does. And it still chafes.
It doesn't chafe.
Yeah, it chafes.
The reason why, there's actually two reasons why I'm a registered independent, as far as what political party I am. But the main reason now is because I don't believe traditionally, and I think that's the key word here. Traditionally, the Republican Party is more in line with Christian standards and Christian beliefs and biblical beliefs.
Yes.
Traditionally, I'll say it that way. Doesn't necessarily mean that the political party, the Republican Party, is. I think it traditionally is, first and foremost. And I know that, most Christian candidates do come. All right, hold on. Christian, air quotes, air parentheses, okay? Christian candidates come via the Republican Party. You don't see any really come through the Democratic Party. I do realize all that. But I think that Republican, and I think this has been the issue, and I think America kind of has, and I will say it this way, American Christians have, is that I think most of the times Christians correlate Christian with Republican when it comes to politics, and it's almost like they're interchangeable words. But being a Christian doesn't mean Christian and Republican aren't the same thing. Right. Christian and Republican are not the same thing. Just because you're a Christian doesn't mean you're a Republican. Just because you're a Republican doesn't make you a Christian. They're not synonymous. I don't think the two are synonymous, and I think the same way with Democrats as well. And so I don't believe that is necessarily a how do you say I don't think it. All right, perfect example. If you were to run for office nowadays, if you were to run to office, you would have to choose a party to run in. If you were serious, you're going to have to be one or the other.
Right.
You're going to have to either be Democrat or you're going to have to be Republican.
Yes.
You're going to have to be one or the other, whether you agree or not with either one of those policies. And I think what happens is, and I think specifically now, we get those that are jumping into parties not because of their beliefs or not because of really their convictions and how they want to serve, but because they don't really have a choice. All right? I think, up until, for example, this upcoming election, up until this year, I have never once heard Donald Trump's name being correlate it with any Christian beliefs whatsoever up until
right.
a couple weeks ago when it was said that he was a Presbyterian. Up until then, I've never once heard anything, and I think a lot of times, most of the time, vast majority of the time, that candidates get into a party not because of their beliefs, but because they are trying to win an election.
Right.
And so that's the bottom line. So I find it more consistent to be independent. I realize, and I know your argument is I don't get to vote in the primaries.
I get to make my own argument.
Yeah.
You don't get to make it for me.
Yeah, I know the primaries, and I understand your argument there. So go for it.
All right. Thanks for jumping in my Kool-Aid. So,
splish splash.
Right. This might be surprising to you, but my reasoning for Christian people to be registered Republicans is wholly pragmatic. Now, that's probably surprising to you because I'm not necessarily the most pragmatic of individuals. I'm very idealistic, but when it comes to national politics, particularly for the presidency, I think you need to be, if you're a Christian, you need to be a registered Republican. And the reason I feel that way is this. The Democrats don't put up strong Christian people for vote. They just don't. I might catch some flack for that, but
I was going to say, do the Republicans put up strong Christians?
Well,
Well,
just wait. Let me finish the statement. The Democrats definitely do not, right? There is nobody on the national level that's an independent that is also a strong Christian individual. Nobody. Not one. You can even argue that there's nobody on the national level that is an independent. I mean, you can even make that argument. So that rules out, for a Christian person, being a registered, in my mind at least, being a registered independent or a registered Democrat. Which brings us to the Republican primaries. Serious Christian candidates right now, right? And for as long as I've paid attention to politics, which is about the past 20 years, which isn't too long, maybe a little less than 20 years, probably 15 years. Past 15 years, all of the serious Christian candidates have been Republicans. Now, amongst those Republicans, there's some serious Christian candidates. There's some folks who are like Donald Trump, who are, maybe that guy's a Christian, I don't know, right? I couldn't say either way. So maybe he is, maybe he ain't, whatever. Some of his attitudes clearly indicate that he is not necessarily a particularly mature Christian. So if we really want to have a Christian person in office, we have to be selecting them essentially until something changes. Something changes, we have to elect them out of this pool of Republicans. So in this pool of Republicans, we've got some Christian folks, we've got some non-Christian folks, we've got some nominal Christian folks. We've got, we got this cloud of yahoos that we got to pick from. Right? So how do we get a Christian president? Well, we have to vote in the primaries in the party that has Christians, at least Christian candidates. I'm not saying that if you're a Democrat that you're not a Christian. What I am saying is that if you're a Democrat and a Christian, you're inconsistent. You're inconsistent. Because let's take the major moral issue that our country faces today. That is abortion. This has been the major moral issue that our country has faced since the 70s. This is the issue, and it has to do with the Imago Dei. It has to do with people bearing the image of God. Now, the only party that's interested in holding up a high view of humanity within the reproductive conversation, however you want to do that, are the Republicans, right? So if you want to have a change, make a national change in this area, you have to do it within the Republican Party. So if you really want a serious Christian leader, you're not going to get them by being an independent. You're not going to get them right now by being a Democrat. The only way you're going to get those people in there is by being a Republican. Because, like you said, Justin, traditionally, the Christians, the serious Christians, the devout Christians, go into the Republican Party. For example, we have Ted Cruz, serious Christian man. George W. Bush, serious Christian man. Jeb Bush, serious Christian man. Right? Now, you got to pick then which one of these guys best articulates the ability to demonstrate Christian values and practice Christian values in that national office. So the field keeps getting smaller and smaller for you as a Christian voter, right? It keeps getting
No, I understand.
It keeps getting smaller and smaller. So we have to decide from these folks. Ben Carson, right? Ben Carson is a Seventh-day Adventist, right? And some Christians have problems with Seventh-day Adventists because Seventh-day Adventism is outside some of the norms for orthodoxy, right?
Yep.
Now, I've even got Seventh-day Adventists in my family, and there's a question there, right?
Yeah.
How far? And I've looked at it a little bit since all of that happened, and trying to find out how far outside of orthodoxy is Seventh-day Adventism and what is their level of attachment to the Seventh-day Adventism, that sort of thing. So when you have someone like Ben Carson, who is a very moral individual who will practice Christian beliefs on the national scale with regard to abortion, which I think is the main issue. And I might be a one-issue voter, and I'm okay with that, because as a Christian, I think that if we can't identify the image of God in all people, then we have totally missed the boat. We have totally missed one of the major identifiers of Christianity, which is the idea of the Imago Dei. So, with all of that in mind, let me encourage you, Justin. Register as a Republican, and pick one of these guys who's going to be a consistent Christian president, and push them in there. And you know what? If you don't like him, if an independent guy comes up, when we come to the main election, when we come to the big show, go ahead and vote for the person who is most likely.
And I think the key, and I think what it comes down to, is that in any kind of decision when it comes to elections and that sort, when it comes down to it, and I guess this is how I encourage anybody and everybody when it comes to voting, is there's basically kind of two standards you're going to have. You're going to have biblical standards, and you're going to have kind of personal standards. Biblical standards being one of them, like what you just talked about, abortion. If a candidate, if you have two candidates up there, and I do this, I put biblical standards above anything else. So if a candidate's running and their standards of certain topics like abortion are in line with my beliefs based off God's word, that's number one. Okay. And then after that follows up with my personal thoughts, like taxes and stuff. Yeah. That's always going to be second. Now I will, and I'll say it this way: if you have two candidates and one of them is primarily more biblical based, and they're not as in line with my personal expectations or hopes, I'm going to vote biblical. Okay, I'm going to vote biblical every single time. And but at the same time, if you had whether he was a Republican or Democrat, and they were a little loose on because I think that's something we've even kind of seen a little bit, even kind of our Republicans they lately have been kind of a little back and forth on some of those types of topics over the last
they're definitely squishy.
Elections. They're very squishy, and so, but if your tax plan or things like of that sort are more appealing to me than the biblical stuff, I'm not going to vote for you. I'm going to put biblical standard above personal preference,
right,
every single time. And I think that when it comes down to it, that's the most important aspect of all of this when you choose. So whether I ever become a registered Republican, we'll see, man.
Well, that's why I push on you in this area.
Yeah, I know.
Is because
you push on me in a lot of areas, and that's why I like you. So.
Oh man, come on now, drink the Kool-Aid, become a Republican, I'll send you a W hat, right?
No, I don't need a W hat.
Do you remember when W was running? Me and Hafer went to some of his rallies. Did you go to any of those?
No, yeah.
No? Oh, man, it was fun.
Yeah, I'm sure it sounds like a blast.
It was.
Sounds like that's total sarcasm. Total sarcasm.
It was a concert.
Not a blast.
It's a concert environment. You go there and you're like, woo! I like people and stuff.
It's a concert environment without any of the good stuff. That's what it is.
They had an opening act, right? They had opening music.
It's a concert environment without the rock star, which is just basically a group of people gathering and sweating for no reason.
George W. Bush was a rock star, all right?
Okay.
That guy's a rock star. It might be unintentional rock star, but he is definitely a rock star.
No, I think he's intentional. I think he was totally intentional. So, all right. Well, how about this? Let's table the topic here because we're still going. We're running really late.
That's all right. We'll cut that down.
Yeah, we definitely need to cut that one down. I'm going to let you cut some of that one down.
All right. It's probably going to be like 3 minutes after we're done. So.
More than likely. So you did just talk for 25 minutes straight. So that was awesome.
You liked it.
I think sometimes here's the deal. I think sometimes when you start talking politics and everything, that gets. I think politics and I think America and kind of where things are. I think it kind of scares people, and I think that is a perfect transition for a new bit that we're going to add for the month of October. That Martin and I are now calling Scream Queens. All right. Okay, so this is the way Scream Queens works. Martin and I, can you not laugh? All right, Martin and I are going to share with you all things that scare us so much that it makes us scream like little girls. Things that are so scary. So this is for the month of October. Things that are so scary that it makes us scream like little girls. And I actually have two of them.
You better
so
save
that I'll
one.
share this week. No, man. I have a lot of things that scare me, and so I'm all right with coming up with extra ones. So I'll share two of them today. So, but Martin, what is it that makes you scream like a little girl? What are you afraid of?
I don't like to admit this. It's more of a startling thing, right?
Okay.
I don't like to admit this, but when Leah and I both enjoy the scary movies, right?
I know. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this, because you guys enjoy scary movies so much. It's really freaky.
We like the scary movies, and I get really into the scary movie. I mean, it really affects me. My heart will pound, even if it's a bad scary movie where it's not even done very well. My heart will still pound with the story. And you know how they have those jump scares in there, and the whole idea is you take the girl with you to the movie theater, and then you watch the scary movie. They have the jump scare. The girl jumps, and then you bring her close, right? That's the plan. Well, this is what happens. We watch the scary movie. I'm usually sitting on the couch, Leia kind of leaning up against me or whatever, and we're watching it. And the opposite thing happens.
You jump in her arms.
Every time.
I was going to say that.
You can even see it coming. If you watch a lot of these movies, it always happens the same way. They'll have some tension, they'll have the fake out, and then they'll have some tension, fake out, tension, jump scare. Every single time, I even know it's coming. I can tell by the music, by the pacing. I can tell by the way the camera's panning. I know the jump scare is coming, and every time that jump scare comes, I always jump, even if it's a movie I've seen before. So, and I feel like, Jason Voorhees. He's about to stab somebody. You shouldn't have been smoking that weed, right? He's about to stab him.
Yep.
And
no
the camera
premarital
pans.
Cohabitation.
Oh, yeah, man.
Kind of
Don't be.
He'll get you if you do that.
Jason Voorhees is quite the moral serial killer, if you want to.
Might actually be a pretty good presidential candidate.
lot of unintentional comedy there with Jason Voorhees.
Yeah.
So, but you got a point. You know, he is a highly moral individual. He doesn't like that those violations or whatever. So every time, man, and I don't know how to turn it off. But every time there's a jump scare, I will jump. I won't always scream, but it's because it's because I'm suppressing it.
I get you.
If I didn't suppress it, I would definitely scream. But that's okay. Leia's there to comfort me, and I think having her there is what makes me able to watch those movies.
Every year, Faye always says, "Let's watch some scary movies during the month of October." Mm-hmm. And every year, I probably should save this one, but I'm just going to say it. But every year, we'll sit down to watch a movie. And it happened, I mean, I don't think we did it last year. Like, I haven't watched a scary movie in like 2 years now because of what happened last time. She's like, hey, let's watch, what was it? The Woman in Black?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she goes, let's watch Woman in Black. I was like, I don't like scary movies. I do that thing. Mm-hmm. And she's like, no, just watch it with me. I was like, okay, fine. So we sit down and we're watching it. It's real depressing, real dreary, just everything. It's just kind of a weird. It starts getting to a scary part, and Faye's like, I'll be right back. I got to go check the laundry. I'm like, what? There's a scary part here. And then she'll leave, and then she'll be like, oh, I missed that. Can we rewind it? I'm like, So I rewind it, and then like another scary part comes in. She's like, "Oh, I forgot. I gotta go do the dishes." And she gets up and does the dish. I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Seriously?" Like she literally every time a scary part would come, she'd be like, "Oh, excuse me 1 second," and we'd have to rewind it, and I'd have to go through the scary parts 2-3 times sometimes at a time. And I got upset. I was like, "You can't just leave." When you're the one that wanted me to watch this, and then at the like towards like the ending where the climax of the movie is coming into it, mm-hmm. I'm sitting there, just like, and I look back and she's sleeping. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me! You gotta be kidding me! I was like, don't ask me to watch scary movies with you ever. So, but yeah. All right, so so yours are jump scares.
Jump scares every time.
Okay. I got two things that make me scream like little girls. One is interest rates.
You know how I know you're old?
When you say interest rates are a fear of yours, yeah, I know, because it is. I'm like, you're paying so much for something, so much more for something. When interest rates. Interest rates scare me, and like if there's an interest rate in something, I scream like a little girl, and so that's one of them. But the other one that scares me is dolls, like creepy dolls. Like those little dolls with the eyes that open and close as they sit them up and stuff. Mm-hmm. Those things freak me out, man. Like when I was growing up, my mom had this doll mm-hmm. that she had from her childhood. And the thing about the doll was this. I don't even remember what she called this doll, but it was evil. It was demonic. It was a demonic doll. It was an old doll, and it had like the hair. She pulled all the hair of the doll out when she was a kid, mm-hmm. and they replaced it. This is so stupid. They replaced it with carpet.
Nice.
like that real thin like carpet. Like actually, it's like the carpet I have on my floor right over here. The real thin. So it's got like carpet hair, and it's like in one eye, it kind of it's all the way open, and the other eye is partially closed, and sometimes it just out of nowhere kind of flutters a little bit, like mm-hmm. Like that. And I remember this is the weird part. And this is such a weird story, but when I was a kid. We moved around a lot because my parents divorced when I was 3, and so I lived with my mom and stepdad, and we moved around a lot. Mm-hmm. And we moved from town to town to town, and city, state. We just moved all over the place. And then we were in Texas for a period of time. And I remember my mom was in Texas, and for some reason she was in these antique stores, but it was a small town, so it was like the antique store was like pretty much their Walmart. Is what it was. Mm-hmm. And so she's in this antique store, and she sees this doll, and she's like, "That's my doll." It was her doll from her childhood. This doll, this carpet hair doll, and she knew it was the doll because
carpet
of
hair?
the freaking carpet hair. She lost the doll like 20, 30 years ago. 20, 30 years ago, and then found it she lost it in Florida, found it in Texas. I told my dad was still alive at the time, and I told my dad that. He goes, I remember that doll. I got rid of it. And I was like, Dad, it's back. He's like, just get out of there. Just get out of there now. It's the creepiest. And my mom still has this doll. She still has this doll. It is so creepy, man. And so, like, dolls, like those type of dolls, porcelain type dolls, or like those dolls with the realistic looking baby dolls, freak me out, man. You know, not like the Chucky dolls. I think those are kind of cute, but like, you know, just other dolls that are just way too realistic, and like the moving eyes and stuff makes me scream like a little girl. So I would literally, what I would do when my mom wasn't around, I'd take the doll and I'd turn it around or put it face down, so I didn't have to look at its face, because I always felt like it was looking at me.
Well, it was
looking at me.
Justin,
I
I hate to tell you this, but your mother didn't find the doll.
The doll found my mother. I know. I say that too. Oh, so
how else could that happen?
I know, it's creepy, right? It's very creepy.
Let me recommend a horror movie for you that should appeal directly to your
fear,
inappropriate fear of dolls. You need to watch.
It's not inappropriate fear, dude. That doll is a stalker.
Well, that doll you should probably be afraid of, and at first you said dolls were demonic, and I would disagree, except for that one. That one's definitely demonic. So, since it chased your mother down across time and states, so just keep it in mind. You need to watch The Conjuring, and then it's got one of those dolls in it, and it is creepy. Follow that up with Annabelle. Not as good, but focuses just on the doll. The Conjuring, though, is beautiful. A beautiful horror movie.
Oh gosh, I don't know if I can do that. I've seen the previews of those. I just don't know if I could do that.
I jumped and cried through the whole one. Leia had to snuggle me close. I was so terrified the entire time.
Gosh. All right. So that's our Scream Queens. That's our new bit for the month of October. We're going to keep doing that, telling you, sharing things that you were afraid of. And you know what? Hey, maybe if you guys are interested, maybe share a little bit of your things that scare you. You could post it to our Facebook page. We'll put a special link there of what your things that make you scream like little girls. So why don't you do that? And at this time, we're going to take a little break, and here's our intermission. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Welcome to intermission. Intermission.
All right, we're back, and since we have already talked so much, we were going to save our scholarly discussion for another time and instead go directly into our dad fail.
Yeah, you guys suck at being dads.
You know, that might be good music to leave in there.
That might be good music to leave in there? Yeah. You guys suck at being dads. For those of you that feel like you're failing at being a father, Martin and I are here for you. We want you to feel like you're not alone, because sometimes we feel like we're failing as fathers, and we'd like to share with you our dad fails of the week. And as you notice, for the last 3 weeks, we've been failing quite frequently. and so let's we have our dad fails of the week. Mine happened on, when did mine happen? Mine happened Sunday. No, mine happened Saturday, before Sunday, yeah. Which Saturdays are typically before Sundays.
Most of the time.
We were watching wrestling. And they had a preview. And my boys like to watch, we watch WWE, but what they like to watch, and I don't know if I know you don't watch wrestling, Martin,
no.
But because you're too smart for that.
That's not it at all. It's because ECW is not on TV anymore, and that was my favorite. So
Well,
I'm
let
heartbroken.
let me go ahead and encourage you. If you like ECW, you need to watch NXT.
NXT.
It is the NXT. It is the developmental state. Well, I'll say this: developmental stages of the WWE, and it is some of the best shows, some of the best wrestling. It is some of the coolest stuff you'd ever seen. It's not like extreme violence like ECW was, but it is like really entertaining. It is very good. It's mainly focused on the wrestling, and some of the wrestlers that are coming up through it are absolutely amazing. They do some of the craziest stuff, most amazing things, and their matches are fantastic. You would really like it. Okay, so with that being said, my boys love NXT. Like they like WWE, but they love NXT more than anything because they just love the characters in it. They love all the wrestlers. Like, and even like I'll tell you what, like just Wednesday, because this is where my dad feel comes in. This Wednesday they had the first ever for all of WWE, but they had the first ever Iron Man women's title match that main evented the pay-per-view. Main evented their special event. And it was amazing. Like, these two young ladies were, like, it was intense. It was a great fight. I typically, in the past, women's wrestling hasn't always been that good. They focus always on, like, less about wrestling and less about, that type of stuff and more about, like, sexuality.
Right.
Not now, man. They focus on, like, actual wrestling, and they're really good. Like, you would be impressed. You'd watch this and go, wow, this is really good. Or you'd be like, I can't believe they're doing this. Like, this is intense. And so, like, that was the first ever women's main event for a special WWE event ever.
Wait a second. Wait a second.
Yeah.
Before you told me that you weren't going to watch Ronda Rousey fight, but you'll get down watching women's NXT.
Yeah.
That blows my mind. That doesn't make any sense. Ronda
doesn't make any
like,
sense.
That's the real deal.
Here's the deal. Yeah, no, it is real. If anybody is a fan of mixed martial arts, it's me.
Anybody,
okay?
right? You're number one. Except when it comes to Ronda, because you're a He-Man woman hater.
It's not that. I feel like she has no competition whatsoever. That's my issue. I think her division that she's in is a very weak division. I hate to say that, but I think she's good. I know everybody loves Ronda Rousey. I think she's very good. She's a beast. She really is. But at the same time, if you're a beast and you don't have competition, then it makes it's like lopsided. And those fights that she's had, like they're I don't think they're as entertaining as some fights. Like, I didn't get to watch the last just UFC 192 with Cormier and Gustafsson. I didn't get to watch that one, but I've got to hear, and it was a back and forth battle. And those are the entertaining ones. The matches that go longer than 15 seconds, those are entertaining to me. Those are entertaining. When they just go back and forth and there's drama and tension. Like I think in the second or third round, it was the last round. I think Cormier got dropped by a knee, and he was dominating the whole match. He was just tearing Gustafsson up, slamming him, picking him up, and all of a sudden, knee, and he gets dropped, and he goes to the ground. He gets back up and recovers. He ends up winning the match, but like that's the type of match I like to see. I'm not a big fan of 10-second, 15-second matches.
So you prefer a well choreographed athletic display than the real fight that lasts 15 seconds?
No, I'm not saying that at all.
Because it sounded like you did, because you said that
I want to see.
You love the NXT.
You know what would be entertaining for me? You know what would be entertaining for me? For this next fight, Holly Holmes to go the distance with Ronda Rousey. I want to see Ronda Rousey go beyond the first round. The last time she did it was against Miesha Tate. She ended up beating her, I think in the third round. I want to say third round. I could be totally mistaken. But that was an entertaining fight. It was because there was drama in it. It kept going back and forth. And Miesha, like I was hoping Miesha was going to get the next fight with her, this one, Miesha Tate. And she didn't. They gave it to Holly Holmes, which shocked me a little bit. But on paper, Holly Holmes should take her the distance. She should be able to go for a couple rounds with Rousey on that.
Well,
So,
I just learned something, Justin. Would you like to know what I just learned?
maybe. Depends on if it's anything good.
Don't ever bring up UFC with you again. You're supposed to be talking about your dad fail.
Okay, here comes my dad, Phil. So we're watching wrestling on. We might have to cut some of that out.
No, I'm
You're the one
leave
that
it
brought
all
it up.
in. Leave it all in.
Sunday night, we're watching wrestling, and it comes up as a preview for Wednesday night. Wednesday night is the big NXT event, and so we're watching, and the boys are like, "Dad, NXT is on Wednesday night." I said, "I know." I said, "You guys want to watch that?" They're like, "Yeah." And I go, "Awesome. We'll watch it." I go, "We'll watch it Wednesday night." And Faye goes, "Excuse me?" I go, "What?" She goes, "They have school the next morning." And I, for some unknown reason, other than me failing as a parent, go, "You guys want to skip school on Thursday?" I no lie. I say, "You guys want to skip school on Thursday?" And they're like, "Yeah!" And Faye goes, "No. No." And Toby looks at her, looks at me, and you can see him start to tear up. He's like, and she goes, "Way to go, Justin. Way to go." So my dad failed the week was getting my kids' hopes and dreams built up to a level,
Yeah.
and then crushing them down just as quick. So that's how I failed as a father this week.
That is
like that one, didn't you?
spectacular. I do. Because
You guys want to stay up? Yeah. You guys want to skip school? Yeah. No. Party pooper.
that is fantastic.
Or as Toby would say, he quotes one of the wrestlers, he goes, "Your party has officially been pooped on." He's like, Toby says that.
That kid's funny.
He is funny, man. He's really funny. Okay, how did you fail
All right. Well,
as a daddy?
just about every holiday where the kids get me presents, Dave will buy me a Lego set. And the way it works is like this. He buys me a Lego set. We put that Lego set together, and then he gets the Legos. That's what we do, right?
I don't. That's not a gift for you. Then I think you need to start teaching your kid how to give you gifts for you.
Well, I enjoy it because I loved Legos as a kid. I still like putting them together, but I just after I put the Legos together, my interest in it drops way down. So we put it together, and then I give it. Then Dave gets it, and he plays with them. Well, last Christmas, Sarah got me a Lego set that we need to put together, and it's from.
You still have. I can't believe you. I think I know what you're going to say.
And sitting on my dresser is a Lego movie Lego set with the Unikitty and the magical land or whatever, the cotton candy land, whichever one's up there in the sky.
Yeah.
And it is not put together yet, man.
Since Christmas?
I know.
Martin P. Bender. Oh, wow. I thought I was a bad dad.
Don't worry, you are. But yeah, that's still sitting there. And I'm hoping that me bringing it up here will remind me that I need to put that together with Sarah. And
Honestly,
then give
dude,
it
you
to
better
her.
do it this afternoon. Like, just when she gets home, be like, hey, honey, I got something you want to do together. You know what's going to happen? She got it for you, and you're going to start it, and then she's going to run off and go do something else. I guarantee you that's what my kids do.
Yeah.
Every time I get a Lego set for them, you're like, hey, Dad, we need your help. And I'll start putting it together in 756 pieces.
Oh, you got a good Lego set.
Oh my gosh, those things are nightmares. And I'm putting it together, and then halfway through it,
Gone.
no kids. I'm just sitting on the floor with 756 pieces, all can jumble together, just getting madder by the second. This is stupid. Ugh. Stupid Legos.
So, yeah, we're going to have to do that. We're going to have to knock out that Lego set.
Yeah, you are. So, for those of you who feel like you've been bad dads, hope you feel better about yourself.
You should.
You should, because this is bad. I mean, we're talking hopes and dreams being crushed here.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, I think that's going to be the end of our show here today. We're going to save a discussion that we had planned today. We're going to save it for next week, and have some fun about that. We're going to talk about obedience and disobedience next week. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's going to be fun. And I actually enjoy this conversation. We're going to talk about it a little bit next week, and have a little bit of fun. So, but that's all we have for today, Martin. I hope you have a wonderful Sunday. What are you preaching on this Sunday?
Oh, we're preaching on salvation through Christ because we've been going through our grace series, and we've talked about how God demonstrates his grace already in creation and in his covenants and in culture. And this week we're going to talk about how he demonstrates his grace in Christ. So That's what we're going to be doing. And what about you, Justin?
I am starting a new series this week. I just finished a series based off the book of Daniel called You Only Live Once. And it's basically, that series was all about how you, when life doesn't go the way you expect it, how do you respond? How do you do? What do you do? How do you live? And so we looked at the life of Daniel and the book of Daniel and used that as our reference. It was a really good series. Really enjoyed it. Had a lot of stuff that that we will talk about next week was in that series. But what I'm going to be doing this week, I started a new series called "The Devil Doesn't Want You to Know," and it's all based off lies that we believe in our culture that aren't biblical, but they are portrayed by another being that is in opposition to God, the devil, obviously. I think it's one of those, as I try to explain, I'm like, doesn't the title explain it all? The devil doesn't want you to know. What does he want you to know? He doesn't want you to know this, he doesn't want you to know this, he doesn't want you to know this. And so how he is the father of lies, and that's what our series is going to be focused on starting this week.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
So, Justin, do you think that you are now more informed or less informed?
I don't know. I feel like I'm still, no matter what, I will always be partially informed. You like that, don't you?
I did. I think that should be the close. That should be it.
That's the close?
Yeah,
all right.
I think that was awesome.
All right. No matter what, I'm still partially informed. All right, Mard. You have a good week.
All right, brother. You too. I'll get this thing to you.